The little girl's voice trembled as she clutched the rancher's coat, her fingers shaking like autumn leaves in the cold wind. "My father sneaks in every night," she cried, her eyes wide with fear. The rancher froze. He had heard many strange confessions in his long life on the plains, but never something like this. The ranch lay miles away from the nearest town, surrounded by endless grasslands and the haunting silence of the night. Nothing, and no one, was supposed to sneak in here. Especially not every night. The rancher, a man hardened by years of loss and solitude, knelt down to meet her eyes. Her face was pale, streaked with dirt and dried tears. She couldn't have been older than 8. He asked gently, "Your father? Where does he hide?" She shook her head, pressing her lips together as if afraid the walls themselves might hear. All she knew was that every night, after the moon climbed high, shadows moved where shadows shouldn't. Doors creaked softly. Footsteps echoed. And sometimes, she heard breathing. The rancher's mind raced. The land had once belonged to a powerful cattle baron, long dead, rumored to have buried secrets with his bones. Some said spirits wandered these fields. Others said worse things lived out here, desperate men with nowhere else to go. But a child's fear was different. It wasn't superstition. It was survival instinct. He brought her inside, gave her warm milk, and wrapped her in a blanket that smelled of hay and leather. Yet even as she rested, the rancher felt the weight of her words settle into his chest. He noticed scratches near the back door. Mud prints near the old barn. Signs he had ignored, blaming animals or the wind. Now, they felt like warnings. That night, he didn't sleep. He loaded his rifle, checked every lock, and waited. The wind howled like a wounded animal, and the moon cast long, crooked shadows across the ranch. Then, just past midnight, he heard it. A soft creak. Slow. Careful. Human. His heart pounded. Someone was sneaking in. And whoever it was, they weren't afraid of the dark, or of being caught. The rancher moved silently, every step measured, every breath controlled. He followed the sound to the old barn, a place abandoned years ago after a fire nearly took his life. The door was slightly open. From inside came the faint shuffle of feet. His finger tightened on the trigger. "Step out," he commanded, his voice low but steady. The figure froze. Slowly, a man emerged from the shadows, thin, exhausted, his clothes torn and stained with dirt. His eyes reflected fear, not aggression. The rancher recognized that look instantly. He had seen it in the mirror once, years ago. "I'm not here to hurt anyone," the man whispered. I needed to see her." The rancher's blood ran cold. Her. The girl. Before he could respond, the little girl appeared behind him, clutching the blanket tighter. "Papa," she whispered. The moment shattered everything the rancher thought he knew. The man collapsed to his knees, tears carving paths through the dust on his face. He explained between sobs, how he had been wrongfully accused of theft years ago, chased off the land, beaten, left for dead. The ranch had been sold. His family taken from him. Everyone believed he vanished, or worse. But he never left. He hid in the hills. Survived on scraps. Watched from a distance as strangers raised his daughter. Every night, he snuck in just to see her sleep. Just to know she was alive. The rancher felt anger, then confusion, then something heavier. Guilt. Because the truth was unthinkable. The rancher was the man who had testified against him years ago, unknowingly sealing his fate. The room felt smaller. The past came rushing back like a stampede. The rancher had believed lies told by powerful men. He had stayed silent to protect his own land. And a family had paid the price. Now, fate had brought them face to face. And the rancher realized, he couldn't turn back time. But he could do something else. Something unthinkable. As dawn broke, the rancher sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at his hands. These hands had built fences, broken horses, and defended land. But they had also signed papers that destroyed lives. The girl slept in the next room. Her father waited in the barn, unsure if morning would bring mercy or a bullet. The rancher stood up. He walked to the barn and cut the rope from the man's wrists. "You're not hiding anymore," he said quietly. "Not tonight. Not ever again." The man looked up in disbelief. The rancher did the unthinkable. He drove him straight into town. At the sheriff's office, he confessed everything. The false testimony, the pressure from wealthy ranch owners, the silence he chose over truth. The room went silent. The sheriff stared. The town gathered. Whispers spread like wildfire. By sunset, the story everyone believed for years collapsed. Records were reopened. Witnesses came forward. Lies unraveled. And for the first time in years, justice took a breath. The rancher returned to the ranch alone that night, unsure if he had just destroyed his own life. His land could be seized. His reputation ruined. But for the first time in decades, his conscience was quiet. He stood on the porch as the moon rose again, the same moon that once watched a broken man sneak through shadows. But tonight, there were no footsteps. Only peace. The girl ran ahead, laughter echoing across the fields. Behind her walked her father, clean, free, and standing tall. The charges had been dropped. Compensation granted. His name restored. The rancher watched from the porch, tears blurring his vision. He handed over the deed. "This land was never truly mine," he said. "It was built on a lie." The man shook his head. "No," he replied. "You gave me back my life. That's worth more than land." They decided to run the ranch together. At night, the girl slept peacefully, no fear, no shadows, no secrets. And the rancher? He finally slept too. Years later, people would tell the story in town, about the night a child cried, a father returned from the shadows, and a hardened rancher chose truth over comfort. They called it madness. Others called it redemption. But everyone agreed on one thing. It was the night one brave decision changed everything.